last of my years working for a newspaper, some of you may have heard of, called The Guardian. The last few years of that I spent working in the obituaries department, and therefore I know a little bit about such things. One of the things we never used to do, and still don't do in obituaries, is to build monuments to people, to pay tributes. We leave that to others. What we were most concerned with was the facts about this person, their life in the context of the times that they lived. And we left the tributes to other people. However, I'm very pleased to be able to break out of that straitjacket today and pay my tribute to Barry Jackson. I was lucky enough to attend the service yesterday just outside Beaconsfield, which was a very moving service, very well attended as well. And during the course of that, and also in reading some of the obits about Barry, I learnt a few things about him that I didn't know before. One of the facts, we'll go with some facts to start with, Denise was actually the original tenant at plot 100, just down the road here, more than 25 years ago. However, that was a 10-pole plot, and not long after that, Denise and Barry took over plot 106B, just below it, in total 15 poles, rods or poles, a very sizable domain. These days, nobody occupies that much space, unless your name is Gary Sycamore, of course. Obviously, Barry, as his strength began to wane, gave up plot 100 a year or two back. But Denise and Aubrey, Denise, for those who don't know her,
behind you. She's just gone in the shed.
In the shed. She's behind you in the shed. And so you'll be seeing Denise around. You'll also be seeing Aubrey around. This is Aubrey here, because they will be retaining the plot. I took over as site secretary in May 2001, and in the course of the following years got to know who's who, how this place ticked, and found out more and more about the movers and shapers. As site secretary, I think firstly I'm obviously hoping that people will be decent people and decent gardeners. Those are the only two rules we have: get on with your neighbours, get on with your gardeners. But I was also on the lookout for people who would be of use, who could contribute something more, and I can safely say that Barry was such a person. For example, if the shaft snapped on your favourite axe or spade, putting a new shaft on an axe or a spade is not a problem. Any old fool can do that. But putting it on so that the damn thing doesn't fly off with the first swing is another matter. And Barry was, amongst many talents, a master craftsman at that sort of thing. And I'm afraid that talent has now been lost to us, unless of course I can persuade Dr. Finlay to give up his job in a merchant's bank, wherever he is. Also, of course, he contributed to the site as a whole as a member of the bee group. He became a very competent apiarist, and when, for example, panic would break out because, oh my God, there's a swarm, he would be the one to calmly march up as often as not. He wouldn't even bother to put his spacesuit on. He would just walk up to it, get hold of it, stick it in a box, give it a kiss, sorted, problem sorted, and then they'd try and find out who the bees belong to. Finders keepers, I think. However, I recall a couple of incidents quite recently. A couple of years back, I happened to be passing plot 106 and got talking to him, and I said, "Oh, by the way, you're no longer the only dog on the beach here. You're no longer the only showbiz celebrity on this site." And he said, "Oh yeah, who's that then?" And I said, "Oh well, she's only an Oscar-nominated actress." And he said, "Right, and her name?" I told him. He said, "Never heard of her." I said, "Well, neither had I, actually, until she turned up." I found out right there we had something else in common. He said, "I don't watch telly." And I thought, I'm not surprised. A man who lived life to the full, such as him, had obviously little time for such passive pastimes as watching TV. My most recent exchange with Barry, I think, was only 6 weeks ago, and I would say possibly most feisty exchange. By then, of course, his strength was waning rapidly, but the fighting spirit was by no means gone. The occasion was the big storm that we had at the end of October, and what happened was that the somewhat jerry-built shed directly next door to plot 106, the one with the steeple and the, or minaret if you like, on the roof, was upended and dumped minaret first on his plot. I got an email straight away the following morning saying, tell that man, who shall remain nameless, to shift his shed toot sweet or it will be toast tomorrow. I did exactly as I was told, and the shed was indeed dispatched straight away. One of the points that was made clearly at yesterday's service was that Barry was a lover of peace, quiet, silence, and I immediately thought that is clearly one of the reasons why he found such solace in this place, because in the grand scheme of things it doesn't get much more peaceful, quiet, tranquil in the inner city than it does here, and I think that he obviously managed to find peace, contentment and silence as good as it gets, at any rate, right here at Shepherd's Hill Allotments, and I am very proud to have known him, and I if I had a glass, I would say to Barry, thank you.
To Barry.
Give him a glass, somebody.
Please cut into the cakes and
You might
teas.
see a bit more of me, and now you'll know kind of who I am. The person that, well, I used to come generally when there was nobody else around, because just to go and sit with him or dig or pick, or, but I was the person at home waiting with the boiling kettle for the things to come into the house, and bringing home all this beautiful produce that he made down here, and he would tell me, you know, regale me with stories of people that he'd spoken to down here, and it was his space very much, and yeah, and it's going to continue with his son and with myself and with a couple of friends. We're going to be able to continue digging away, because I'm certainly not as strong as he was. Thank you everybody for coming as well, and thank you to Gary for just saying hello, darling. Thank you for just making this happen this afternoon. It's very special, very important for Barry to know that everybody's here.